All right, I didn't get to this with Senator Paul at the top of the program, and I just want to mention I'll probably talk about it more tomorrow or on Thursday. But today, the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services issued a final rule, and I'm actually reading from the press statement from the Biden administration, to strengthen the Title X family planning program, fulfilling the Biden-Harris administration's commitment to restore access to equitable, affordable, client-centered, quality family planning services. All right, what does all that mean? Well, you might recall that President Trump, when he was president, issued what was called a co-location restriction. This was the fact that a Planned Parenthood facility could not receive family planning money and conduct abortions under the same roof. So it was kind of like putting a firewall between taxpayer funding and abortions. That President Reagan did that. Of course, when Clinton came in, he did away with it, and we just got it back, actually, under President Trump. But the Biden administration, as usual, goes even further to the left in their actions. The Trump regulations did not allow for abortion referrals at all. Okay, so you could do family planning, but you couldn't use government money to say, all right, go down the street, take a left, and there's the abortion clinic. We think you need an abortion. You couldn't do that. Well, now, under the Biden administration, just to show you how elections have consequences, the Biden administration requires that these family planning efforts include abortion referral. So you cannot participate in Title X programming if you don't refer for abortions. Big difference. Again, elections have consequences, as Congressman Mike Johnson was talking about earlier. And as we were talking with him, we were talking about the Justice Department's plan to use its authority and resources to discourage what they call threats against school administrators, board members, teachers, and staff. Now, no examples were provided. I've seen no arrest. I've heard nothing whatsoever in terms of what Viola Garcia said, domestic terrorism. But I want to continue on this topic, turning our attention to the organization that spurred this new effort, the National School Board Association, as I mentioned, Viola Garcia. Now, with me now to shed some light on this is Meg Kilgannon, Senior Fellow for Education Studies here at the Family Research Council. Meg, welcome back to the program.
Hi, Tony. Great to be here.
Okay. I have to say, this kind of caught me off guard that they would be so brazen as to say, we're creating a task force to now focus on what's happening in these school board meetings across the country. I've seen no evidence of violence. Now, I've seen some unruly situations. I've seen arrogance on behalf of school board members. What's going on here?
Yes. Well, what's going on here is parents have seen, they had a peek into the tent, so to speak, during the pandemic. They've seen what's going on in their children's schools, and they're expressing their opinion about what's going on in their children's schools to the people who are in charge.
Don't they have a right to do that?
Well, you would think. Yeah, we sure do. We sure do. And the Justice Department has responded to this ridiculous request from the National School Board Association, who is seeking to protect their members of school boards across the country.
They're seeking
right,
to protect
from
their
the
power.
people,
Yeah.
right? They're seeking to, exactly. They want to protect us. They want to protect them from us.
This is about intimidating, as Josh Hawley said, as Mike Johnson said. This is about intimidating parents and keeping them from going. Now, here's the good news. Just as the coronavirus had a silver lining and parents got to see all of the indoctrination from the leftists that was going on in the classrooms, this reveals to us that parents are actually making a difference.
Yes, exactly. We have made a difference. They don't want to hear from us anymore. They don't have any intention of changing things in the ways that parents are asking things to be changed. They don't have any intention of removing pornographic library books from the library. They don't have any intention of changing the course when it comes to critical race theory and segregating students in classrooms or whatever other racist material they want to put into the classroom. They have no intention of listening to parents. So to keep them from looking bad for not listening to us, they're trying to make it so that they don't have to listen to us by having the Department of Justice put the hammer down. It really is just disgusting in so many ways. I mean, education is always the purview of parents and then localities and states. And for a national organization to have the federal government, the full force of the federal government, come down on parents who are just trying to advocate for their children, it's just obnoxious.
It's not unprecedented because the Obama administration did the same thing. There was a school in actually Minnesota where the parents were opposed to the sexual indoctrination that was going through the anti-bullying program. And so the Southern Poverty Law Center, that impoverished organization, morally impoverished organization, teamed up with the Obama Department of Justice and actually labeled the parents group a hate group to silence them. So this is not unprecedented. This is how the left works. They cannot debate their positions.
Correct.
Because there's nothing to hold them up with. So what do? They have to silence their opponents.
Exactly.
So what is a parent to do?
Well, as a very smart man said at a meeting this morning, if you went to the school board meeting last week, this week you need to go back and take 2 friends.
Yeah.
This is the point, that we know that they're hearing us. We need to go back and always being civil, right? We're always polite because the facts are on our side. We don't have to get ugly, right? But we're going to go back to the school board meetings and we're going to continue to press our points. We're going to make sure that school boards know that we're watching them. We will hold them accountable on Election Day. And until Election Day, we will make our views known, and we expect to have our views respected and acted upon.
And a parent has resources available to them to help them in this process.
Yes, we have resources available at frc.org. We have papers there that explain some of the issues that are facing schools. And on frcaction.org/schools, we have our school board boot camp, which goes over exactly what's it like to be on a school board, what issues will you face on the school board, how do you run for school board, and then we did an event very recently on filing FOIA requests. And so I would encourage every parent in the audience, every citizen in the audience to mark your calendar. This memo from the Department of Justice, from the Attorney General, says that his decree must be acted on within 30 days. So mark your calendar for, let's say, 35 days from now, and file your FOIA requests about how much time was spent looking in with the FBI and the state troopers and the local police, looking into how to report parents for engaging in the school system.
Yeah, that'd be great information to have, especially if you're going to run a campaign.
Sure.
That you've got a school board that is using law enforcement to try to weaponize against parents who simply want to know what's going on in the classroom.
And I would also really be interested to know exactly what are the threats that have prompted this draconian response.
Yeah, there was nothing. Nothing has been provided to show that I've not seen any news reports. The Attorney General yesterday, when he announced this, did not give any specifics.
Right.
Nothing.
Right. So if the lives of school board members are being threatened, as this claims,
well,
then
that's a crime.
That is a crime, and we'd like to see that prosecuted.
That
correct?
could be dealt with. You
Absolutely.
don't need a task force from the FBI to do that.
And the FBI task forces, if you think about what happened to the poor women on the U.S. gymnastics team, there was an FBI task force investigating that situation, and that perpetrator was allowed to continue.
Well, and here's something else people need to realize, that not everything is a federal crime.
True.
And so if something has occurred, they want to look at how they can use their powers to prosecute crimes and to assist local law enforcement in incidents that are not federal crimes. So they want to figure out how they can prosecute non-federal crimes.
Right.
Again, this is a massive overreach of power by the Department of Justice. Now, we have coming up this week, talking about resources, and talk about this issue of education. The Pray Vote Stand Summit begins tomorrow night, 7 p.m. Eastern Time at Cornerstone Chapel in Leesburg, Virginia, where Leesburg, Virginia has been kind of the epicenter of this battle over the indoctrination of our children. And there's going to be a lot of focus,
Yes.
Meg, on education. Tell our viewers and listeners about that.
There absolutely will be. Particularly on Thursday, we're going to have 2 panels on Thursday about education. One of those panels will feature activists from all across the country who are impacting their local communities in their own individual ways. That'll be inspiring for people in the audience and people watching at home. And then we're going to have a panel that features Tanner Cross and the other 2 teachers who are suing Loudoun County Public Schools. Their attorney will be there, and one of the leaders from the parents group, Ian Pryor, will be there to discuss in great detail everything that's going on in that case and is going on in Loudoun County Public Schools, since we're right there in Loudoun County. But even if you're not living in Loudoun County, what's happening there is very much representative of things that are the same kind of things that are happening all over the country. So it's important for people to watch and listen and learn from those examples and see what you can apply in your own locality.
This is a very significant moment in the history of our country, obviously, but when you look at public education now, I'll just be very candid. You've heard me say this before. I think if you have any opportunity, get your kids out of public education. You made reference to this earlier about the parents having the rights and the responsibilities. I think God has given parents the responsibility and the authority to educate their children. Train up a child the way they should go. We're to teach them right from wrong. We're to teach them the way in which they should walk. Now, you can delegate the authority, but you can never delegate the responsibility. It always comes back to the parent. And when you see the type of indoctrination that's taking place and how the hearts and minds of children are being twisted and stolen by the left, we're at a crisis moment, and I think it requires significant, thoughtful, but intentional action. Now, that said, I'm not for abandoning public education because the vast majority of kids will always go into public education. Well, not always. I don't want to be fatalist there.
Sure.
But currently, that's the case.
But that's the way it is now.
But even though homeschooling has more than doubled
Right.
in the last year as a result of the coronavirus. And I think when you see things like California demanding that every child be vaccinated both in public and private,
Right.
I think you're going to see a mass exodus from the public schools for a lot of reasons. But I mean, this is a golden moment.
Yes.
We need to seize it. Number one, we need to be in those school board meetings. We need to be on those school boards, but not at the risk of sacrificing our children in that public system as it presently stands.
Absolutely. That is absolutely true. Just because you have pulled your own children out for whatever reason, which is absolutely your right, and we have, of course, encourage you to do so if that's your choice. Absolutely. Even those parents, though, need to understand that their tax dollars are being used for this system that educates the vast majority of students in the country. And we cannot survive as a nation if we have 80% of the kids in the country being educated to hate themselves, hate their parents, hate their country, and hate God.
Yeah.
This isn't something that's going to be sustainable.
And, we talk about, congressional elections, presidential elections. We see the policies coming from the Biden administration that are 180 degrees from the Trump administration. And, we want to see elections go the right way. But this is something we've got to get at the front of the pipeline, if you will. If we win every election, but we continue to allow what's happening in the public school system, there's going to come a point. It's going to be a tipping point where there'll be no turning back because we'll have, as you mentioned earlier, a population that has been taught to hate America, not value life itself.
Right.
And at that point, we will be in a very serious downward spiral as a country.
Well, it is one of the things I think that people are really starting to realize. And that's why there's been such a turnout at school board meetings and Board of Supervisors meetings and in all of local government, and why the Department of Justice sees the need to act upon this ridiculous request from the School Board Association, because we are making a difference. Our voices are being heard. They are not the majority of this country.
Right.
And if they didn't need to be so authoritarian, they wouldn't need to be so authoritarian if they were
Yeah, that's
really in control.
If
right?
they were speaking to a majority of the Americans and where parents were, they wouldn't need, the guards at the school board meetings
Exactly.
telling parents to sit down and shut up. We don't want to hear your views.
You don't need to silence people who aren't in the majority.
Yeah. Meg Kilgannon, always great to talk with you.